In exactly 5 days, the world will participate in a collective ritual of delusion. Millions of people will write down their resolutions on a piece of paper. They'll join gyms, buy planners, and promise themselves that this year would be different. But if we look at the data, we know the truth. By February 15th, 80% of those resolutions would be dead. And by June, they will be forgotten. And by December 31st, 2026, most people will be standing exactly where they are standing right now. Perhaps a bit more tired, perhaps a bit more cynical, but fundamentally unchanged. But why? Is it a lack of discipline? Is it a lack of hustle? And the simple answer is no. The reason most people fail is that they're trying to change the building while ignoring the blueprint. They are trying to change the facts of their life while leaving the architecture of their fate untouched. If your 2025 felt like the repeat of 2024, it wasn't a bad luck. It was a design flaw. And if you don't look at the map you are following right now, I can tell you exactly what your 2026 would look like. It would look like exactly like yesterday. But look at the mathematics of human behavior. The statistics shows that 92% of New Year's resolution would be failed by the end of February. And do you know why? Is human race simply lazy? No. The reason is you fall or you fail is a logical error. You are treating your life like a software update when your entire operating system is corrupted. You're trying to change or maybe trying to grow a plant in a new garden, in that soil that is chemically programmed to grow weeds. And if your 2025 was struggle, you enter 2026 with the same logic, the same self-talk, and the same blueprint of who you think you are. Then 2026 is not a new year. It is simply 2025 part 2. So today I want to show you the architecture of your fate and why your hard work has been failing you. So most people live in the concept of action paradigm. In action paradigm, they believe that the success formula is more action equals more result. But this formula is incomplete. If hard work was the only variable, then every laborer would have been a billionaire, or maybe more than that. But there's a hidden variable in this equation, and that is your identity. And to understand this, think of your life as a thermostat. If a thermostat in this room is set to 20 degrees Celsius, and you open all the windows on a hot summer day, the room might get warmer for a moment, but eventually the thermostat will kick in and the cooling will start and the temperature would be forced back to 20 degrees Celsius. So I want to say your life has a financial thermostat, a relationship thermostat, and a health thermostat. If your wealth architecture is set to struggle and you suddenly win a lottery or get a bonus from somewhere, your subconscious mind will find a way to break your car, to get you sick, or to lure you into bad investment to bring your temperature, so-called wealth, to the level of struggle once again. You aren't unlucky. You're structurally consistent. You cannot consistently outperform your own self-image. This is the logical reason why trying harder feels like running up the escalator which is coming down. You're exhausted because you're fighting against your own design. We have been sold a lie. We have been told that life is a battle of action. That if you want to earn more money, you just need to work more hours. And that if you want to build a better relationship, you just need to find the right person. But have you ever noticed that you can change your job, but you will always end up with the same kind of a boss? You can change your partner, but you always end up with the same arguments. You can even change your city, but you always end up with the same feeling of I'm not having enough. And this is what we call as repeat loop. So to understand this, imagine a builder who's trying to build a palace, a big beautiful palace. But he is holding a blueprint for a small 2-room shack. He buys the finest of the finest marbles. He hires the best workers. He works 18 hours a day. But no matter how hard he works, the result is always a shack, a 2-room shack. He cannot, in all probabilities, cannot build a palace because the structure won't allow it. The structure is 2-room shack, and that was the blueprint. So most of you are working palace hours, but on a shack blueprint. Fate is not a mystical force that is written in stars. Fate is simply the name that we give to the structural limits of our own subconscious mind. And if your internal architecture says, I am a person who struggles, your life will structurally find a way to make sure you struggle, regardless of how much money you make or how much books you read. So let's look at the crack in your current building. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself right now. Look at your financial architecture. Do you have a set point? A certain amount of money that will feel you safe, that will make you feel safe. And whenever you go above it, an expected bill appears, or perhaps a ceiling that you can never seem to break it. That isn't an economy of money. That is your architectural limit of wealth. Look at the relationship or your relational architecture. Do you feel like you have to earn love? Do you feel like everyone eventually leaves? You're not meeting the wrong people at all. You're following a map that only leads to the same destination. So look at your self-image. Who do you tell people you are? Are you the unlucky one, the hard worker who never gets a break, or an overthinker? Every time you say, I am, you're drawing a line on your blueprint, and your reality, the physical world, is legally obligated to build exactly what you have drawn. It cannot argue with you. It is just a construction crew, but you are the architect. The problem is that most of you have been accidental architects. You didn't draw this blueprint. Your parents, your past failures, your societal conditioning drew it for you. And you have been living in a house someone else designed. There's a neurological basis for this. Your brain has a filter called RAS, Reticular Activating System. Its job is to filter out millions of bits of data you see every second and only show you what you think is actually important for you. It filters out everything. So what does it think is important? It depends upon you. What does it think is important? Whatever aligns with your blueprint. If your blueprint says people are untrustworthy, your reticular activating system, that is RAS, will ignore 10 honest people in a room and focus only on the one person who will betray you. It's not magic, it's focus. So this brings us to the core of what Neville Goddard taught. An ancient mystic who lived in 1900s, he didn't use scientific terms, he used the term concept of self. He argued that the world is just a shadow. It has no power whatsoever to change itself. And to understand it, if you stand in front of a mirror and you don't like the expression, you don't try to touch the mirror or destroy the mirror. You have to change the reflection. So that you need to change your face. And that is the concept of self. The architecture of fate is the realization that reality is a mirror. And 2026 will not change because the year change. It will change when you walk into the office of the architect, your own imagination, and you draw a new version of yourself. A version that doesn't want success, but is success. You see, 2026 is not a time period, it's a state of being. If you want to live in a palace, you don't start buying the furniture, you start by tearing down the shack. You start by redrawing the foundation. You have to die to the person who struggled in 2025. so that the architect of 2026 can be born. But the question arises, how do we redraw this map? How do we redraw the blueprint? To understand the solution, we have to look at the man. A man named Neville Goddard. Neville was a mystic, but more importantly, he was a master of causal logic. He taught a radical truth that renders almost all modern self-help so obsolete. He didn't talk about the law of attraction, which often feels like pleading to the universe for a favor. He talked about the law of assumption and identity. And here's the logical rationale behind it. The law of attraction implies that you and the thing that you want are separate. It implies that you are here and your dream is there, and somehow you must pull it towards you. But Neville argued, you cannot attract what you want. You only attract who you are. So if you are attracting money, you are logically admitting that you are currently lacking money. And as long as your internal architecture is built on the foundation of lack, the so-called universe, which is a perfect mirror of your own consciousness, can only reflect more lack back to you. So you are caught in a logical loop. Neville Goddard's secret weapon was the concept of self. Think of your life as a radio broadcast. Just to understand this, your concept of self is a frequency you are tuned to. If you are tuned to somehow 98.1 frequency module, FM, you cannot hear the music playing on 105.5 frequency module. It does not matter how much you wish to hear the other station. It does not matter how hard you work just at the dial. You must change the frequency just to hear the different music playing on a different station. In psychological terms, this is your identity. Your brain possesses a mechanism called RAS, Reticular Activating System. And as discussed, its job is just to filter the world to match your core beliefs. If your concept of self is that of a victim, your brain will literally ignore opportunities for success, even if they are screaming in your face. It is not that success isn't there, it is that your architecture has no room for it. You're logically blind to what you do not believe you are. And the Neville's most argumentative point was, you must occupy the state of a person you want to be before the world gives you permission. So most people will say, I'll believe it when I see it. So first they want to see it, then they will believe it. But the architect says, I will see it when I design it. Logically, if you wait for the bank account to change before you feel wealthy, you are a slave to the external world. You are letting a piece of paper tell you who you are. But if you go into the office of your own imagination and deliberately assume the feeling of being secure, maybe chosen and abundant, you are changing the internal blueprint. And when the blueprint changes, the construction crew of your subconscious mind has no choice but to follow the new orders. It will change your behavior, it will change your speech, it will change your focus, and eventually your circumstances. The money will be forced to appear, not because it is magic, but just to support the new structural integrity of your own mind. It is a mathematical necessity. You see, 2026 is not a destination or map, it is a state of being. And if you want to live in a palace in 2026, you don't start by buying the furniture for the shack. You don't try to fix the shack. You must realize that the shack and the palace cannot exist on the same piece of land at the same time. And this is the part that touches the heart and stings your ego. To become the architect of 2026, you must allow the person you were in 2025 to die. You have to stop being the one who was betrayed. You have to stop being the one who was broke, who didn't had any kind of money, not a single penny to his name. You have to stop being the one who almost made it. Those are old blueprints. As long as you keep those drawings in your pocket, you will keep building the same shack over and over again. So tearing down a building is a painful process. It's loud, it's messy, and it's quite frightening. But you cannot lay a palace foundation on top of shack ruins. You have to die to your limitations so that greatness can be born. Today is December 26th. You have 5 days. You have 5 days to stop the loop. 5 days to look at your blueprint and decide which wall needs to be come down. I'm not here to give you the tips. I am here to help you rebuild. On January 1st, I'm launching my flagship masterclass series, 2026, The Reality Architect. This is a 10-day, 10-episode, step-by-step construction protocol. We are going to go deep in the psychology of Neville Goddard's teaching, combined with practical identity shifting tools. I have even designed a digital reality architecture workbook for this series, so you can physically draft a new life as we go. And this is a gateway. So if you are ready to stop being a tenant of your life, and you hate it, and you want to start being an architect of reality that you love, then I would suggest you to keep a loop onto this thing, the reality architect. Because on January 1st, the construction begins. I am Avit Bansal. It's time to change the blueprint. I'll see you in episode 1 on January 1st.